The president is supposed to give us his State of the Nation address tomorrow. The story is on citinewsroom.com. We have Akufo-Addo to present penultimate State of the Nation address tomorrow. And it says here, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is scheduled to deliver the State of the Nation's address to Parliament on Tuesday, 27th of February 2024, as stipulated by Article 67 of the 1992 Constitution. Now, this constitutional provision mandates the President to convey a message on the State of the Nation at the commencement of each session and prior to the dissolution of Parliament. The address is anticipated to underscore the government's principal policy objectives for the year while providing insights into strategies aimed at ameliorating prevailing economic conditions. Earlier in February, the then Majority Leader, Osei Mensah Bonsu, announced this development in Parliament, stating, Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Article 67 of the Constitution, His Excellency, the President, will deliver to the House a message on the State of the Nation on Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. Honorable members are entreated to avail themselves for the task ahead. This forthcoming address will mark President Akufo-Addo's penultimate presentation to Parliament. Mensah.
You want to start from me?
Yes, I want to start from you.
So, what is President Akufo-Addo going to say?
Well, he says he's going to, look at, is anticipated to underscore the government's principal policy objectives for the year, and then providing insights into the strategies aimed at ameliorating the prevailing economic conditions.
After 7 years?
Yes, but every year he gives
the same mess that he's been his superintendent over for the last 7 years. The same mess he has created in the last 7 years. What is President Akufo-Addo going to say? I mean, for me, my only joy is that this is the end of an era. An era of misery, an era of pain, an era of hardship, an era of intense suffering, an era of corruption, an era of nepotism, an era of abuse of press freedom, an era of abuse of human rights, an era of weak institutions, weakening state institutions, an era of reckless leadership, an era of insensitivity, an era of corrupt, inept, last 7
But
years.
this is not the last one, right?
It's still the end of an era.
How so?
For me, because this is last State of the Nation's address before the elections.
No, he will give one more before the end of it.
Really?
Yeah, this is the last but one.
No. His last state will be after the elections. His last will be after the elections.
After the elections?
Yes.
Okay.
But this is his last one before the elections.
Okay.
And
so,
for me,
it's the end of an era.
And for me, that's my joy. Is the end of an era. And I think that this coming Sunday, after his address tomorrow, Ghanaians, we must all do a national Thanksgiving service that God has safely delivered us, for 7 years.
He's in charge till January next year.
Of course, at least.
You do realize that?
Yes, we are confident that we are kicking him and his crop of people out. We are very confident about that. And so, for us, it is the end of an era. And we must begin the national Thanksgiving this coming Sunday after because there's absolutely nothing President Akufo-Addo is going to say that's going to bring hope. There's absolutely nothing. Because since the last State of the Nation,
a lot of people who are hopeful.
Since the last State of the Nation's address, okay, if you are hopeful.
I think there's a lot of people who are hopeful.
Since the last State of the Nation address, what has changed? Since the last State of the Nation's address, inflation has skyrocketed. Price of goods and services, fuel prices, the exchange rate. Unemployment has moved to exorbitant levels since the last State of the Nation's address. Since the last State of the Nation's address, nothing has changed. The only change we've seen is a ministerial reshuffle where ministers were moved, and instead of reducing the number of ministers, we've seen ministers being moved into other places, continuing burdening the already suffering Ghanaians. Since the last State of the Nation's address, more and more taxes have been compounded on the suffering Ghanaian. Since the last State of the Nation's address.
All right.
And so, if you have any hope that anything is going to change from now to the next State of the Nation's address, You'll be living in fool's paradise. Nothing is going to change.
All right.
But
Fair enough.
we are happy that this is the end of an era of gross mismanagement, an era of insensitivity, an era of reckless leadership,
made your point.
an era
You're
of
just repeating
corruption,
yourself
an
again.
era of pain and suffering to the ordinary Ghanaian.
Yeah.
Kapite.
I think the State of the Nation address exercise itself is a good exercise that must satisfy constitutional righteousness, present the current state of our nation, and submit the way forward. You know, I expect issues. My main areas I'm looking at is security, resource and revenue mobilization. I look at spending and debt investments. We also look at skills, labor, and industrial growth, and then also corruption and recouping our money. So security, I look at initiatives at building and sustaining peace in the country. Spots of violence in the country is not the best for us, like the Boku issue that's ongoing. Some of them have started over the years, so you cannot blame the current, but then what are efforts at actually building that peace and sustaining it as we go on? You realize that governments have actually done one or two things, and then at some point we'll clap for ourselves, and then we go back to the situation again. So this time around, actually building that peace and sustaining it is very key. So then I'll call on Peace Council, the NCC, the security services, the National House of Chiefs, and then also to work closely with government so that we nip this thing in the bud. When it comes to the other area, the resource governance and revenue creation and generation, I think we should look at it very well. How do we govern our resources? I mean, God has given us some of the resources. How are we going to be protecting them? What are we doing to the ones that are existing already? I expect the president to tell us some of the things, like this lithium agreements and a few things that we'd like to hear about. I think that's very important. And then the mind-boggling Ejapa deal, we should hear something better about that financial issue, which is also very, very worrying. I mean, it's and then the other deal that the president asked the KPMG to actually investigate, all these ones should be thought through. Now, the next area I'll look at is the spending and our investments and our debts. So, what are we spending the national revenue on? What are investments we are doing, and then what are we recouping back? And then, like I tell people, I want to hear the debts that we have accrued. What were the resources used, and how is it going to be benefiting us? And then another area is skills development, creation of jobs, labor issues. I mean, you look at 14.7 unemployment is actually worrying. Yeah. And I'm sure the president himself is worried about it. So he should tell us something that he's doing to show something to the people that, look, this is what I've started doing to nip this thing in the bud. I mean, talk about promoting industry in line with our industrial revolution, a drive that I think it should be towards the Ghana Beyond Aid and building a better Ghana. I think we should look at that industrial revolution, so that when we are granting exemptions, I want to hear exemptions that are granted to local industries to actually phase out the influx of the. When you talk about investment, people get biased, like foreign direct investment. I'm one person. I don't have a problem with foreign investments, but I want investments from Ghana here. Yeah. I mean, how many companies in Ghana, if Men's Gold was able to convince people to bring this huge amount of money, how come we don't have the other good companies able to lobby people to put in their 1,500 and 2,000 to get that huge amount to produce? Trust. I mean, so, but if Kasapreko has been there all over the years and they can manufacture other things, how come Men's Gold can come and play the first one and get that money and run away with it, and Kasapreko can't convince us to put our money in there? I get so, but even the gold industry. I mean, how is it that we could not get people to bring their monies to invest in gold, so that every time it has to be foreign companies coming to invest in our gold and then our lithium and everything else? I think that's where I want to hear more from the president on what he's doing about it. And then finally, the fight against corruption. I want to hear the president tell us what he has done. It's not, you see, setting up the institutions and having the people acting like the special prosecutor was wonderful. It was marvelous. But let us see what we have recouped from it. I mean, what are we doing to actually plug those holes? And what have we done to clamp down on those who are recouping the money is important to me. I don't, every time I speak about this thing, I don't only want to hear the man was actually corrupt and then we investigated and we got, no. I want to hear more about we've recouped X amount of money from those who perpetrated this crime, you know. If that is done in the address and I listen to these areas I've mentioned, these are the areas I'm going to follow, and then when we meet again, God willing, we have to just, peruse that document and see how all these fell in line with his speech. When that is, I think it's better for us. Let me take this opportunity once again to thank Citi FM for giving us this platform to, let our viewers know at least Citi FM has
Citi TV.
Citi TV. You know, how come I'm so in love with the FM?
Because that's how we started.
Yeah. So, but let me give you, both Citi TV and FM for, even Dr. Babi and myself can give you the credits for giving us the opportunity of tax dialogue, and this opportunity again. And I'm thanking you because you see, your professionalism is why I'm sitting here also contributing and also enjoying the fruits of your labor, creating a platform for us to share with the world. I mean, if other radio stations can maintain your kind of standard, I'm sure we'll have peace running. Let me congratulate once again Dr. Mpabi and the Honorable Alex Afenyo Marking. They are almost the same age, the trailblazers. I want their young age to show in their work. I'm counting on them for good results. May the good Lord bless our homeland, Ghana.
Thank you very much to you, Jeffrey Kabuteo-Kansi, also to you, Mesa Thompson, for joining.
But I say you hold the balls, his eyeballs.
It's okay. It's okay. Thank you very much for
You don't like
watching.
praying?
No, it's okay.
His eyeballs. You don't.
Kabute, why?
You don't like praying.
I pray a lot.
So I just
believe
hold
in
his
prayer.
eyeballs so we can
Kabute,
pray.
it's okay. Thank you very much for watching the news review segment of Breakfast Daily.